Hello and welcome to Electro Noob, episode 3? Yeah, 3. Well, hi and hi. I hope you are well. I am, which is good, I suppose, isn't it? Right, well, I haven't planned this very well at all. As in, I've just picked up the recorder and haven't thought about anything which I'll be saying, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sorry to wing it, but it's been so long since I've done an episode, and I fear that if I start making a plan, I'll probably just get bored and give up or something. I'm in that kind of mood at the moment. But I've got a nice cup of tea, which I've nearly finished, pardon me, and a bit of asthma, so I might be wheezing a bit, sorry. Yeah, if you don't drink tea, you're missing out. Oh, makes a nice change of coffee. Try again. Makes a nice change from coffee, actually, I find. Okay, so let's put my phone on silent. Yeah, my asthma's a bit off at the moment. I can't find my inhaler, so I'm gonna sound like cats, I think. Or whatever. Yeah, I'm okay, maybe that doesn't sound like cats very much. So yeah. So I haven't done a recording in a while, which I feel a little bit disappointed about. It's been bugging me, there's a little voice in my head nagging me to, hurry up and get another recording made. It's quite funny too, because as I go along my day-to-day business, I tick off little things in my mind. I think, okay, that'd be worth talking about at some point on the podcast. But funny enough, now that I've pressed record, I can't really think of any of them. Typical, isn't it? So maybe I should just talk about some of the things that's been going on in my life, maybe. That might be a start. Who knows? You may or may not find it interesting. I don't know. Maybe if this podcast ever gets, or this YouTube channel rather, podcast and YouTube channel, should I say, eventually takes off when I start to capture really good content. Maybe someone will be curious, I don't know, and look back in the archive. We shall see. Well, so, what's happened recently? Within about 3 weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, I took up a new job. The following day, after the induction day, I was just getting ready for my shift, and I got the message that my brother had passed away, which was pretty rubbish. What is there to say? I don't know. It's not a very good thing, obviously. Yeah, it's pretty rubbish. When I actually stop to think about it, I try not to, because when I do, it really messes up my mood. And it's very easy at the moment for my whole day to be ruined, because once I start to feel a bit rubbish, I can't seem to get out of it. It's a bit rubbish. Which is ironic, really, when I'm a hypnotist as well. I mean, I don't know if I've said, but I teach people hypnosis and stuff, and I can make it so that other people feel very good rapidly, but when you're in a deep pit of depression, is it? When you're feeling rubbish, it's very hard to pull yourself out, I notice. You need to catch yourself before you fall into it, I guess, is the best way to describe that. Recognizing when you're getting close, and then just kind of make sure you pull back. I mean, don't get me wrong, grieving, I think it's very important to cry and everything else that goes with that. But you do have to function as a human being afterwards, unfortunately. So, you have to, I'm trying my very best to hold my life together the best I can. On top of all the other stresses and crap that life brings, and all of that mixed in with it, and my brother passing, it's been pretty rough. So I guess that's a good excuse for not recording any audios, videos, whatever, for a long time, and not really getting around to being as productive as I'd like to be, because I haven't been productive at all, unfortunately. It's only now, probably as of 2 days ago, was the first time when I got a glimpse of actually wanting to be a little bit productive in some way. I started to read the documentation on OpenCV. OpenCV has been around for a long time, obviously, but those of you that don't know, OpenCV is for computer vision. And open, well, that implies that it's open source, and it is. It's under a BSD license. In other words, what you can do is you can freely use this software in your own product. You can sell it on. You do not need to share the source code or anything like that. So on the one hand, it's great for proprietary products and what have you. But on the other as well, open source projects can obviously use this code too, which is pretty cool. So nice, I kind of like it, actually. As I said, I tried to be productive. That means I only had a short amount of time, which there was a small window which I was, able to actually sit down, read the documentation, do a couple of programming examples, which are essentially copy and paste. I don't really much enjoy retyping what I see on the screen. I mean, that's just dull. So I just copy and paste, had a quick look. Yeah, it works as expected. Excuse me. That's not good. I'm glad that I made the decision not to edit these podcasts after I'm done, because, wow, there's a lot I could cut out. So let's just keep this simple, And to be honest, I think that's an okay way to go. When I start actually producing videos, that's going to be difficult, I think. But I've got some plans and some ideas. Okay. So let me see. Well, I've mentioned OpenCV. I'll continue to mention why I was looking at OpenCV. There's a project I'm working on, actually, with a woman called Bushra, and it's for Umi, which is a wearable tech company that she's creating. And we've been working on some bits and pieces over the years. As you do, I guess, we collaborate quite a lot. But there's there was something she was mentioning, and something she wants to do, which is essentially just like 3D faces. She'd like to make, because although her stuff is wearable technology, but this is kind of a bit of a stretch. But then, she's got an artistic background as well as a technical background. She was a programmer, I believe, and so her interests are quite varied. Anyway, I digress a little bit. Sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a waffle there. But anyway, so there's these, she calls them the cameos. Cameos already exist. But anyway, 3D scan of someone's face, be it either with 3D scanner of some description, be it a Microsoft Kinect sensor, or the variations like that. We're using structured light technology. Anyway, I guess that's not important. But anyway, she talked about how she would like an Android app made. Sorry, we've talked about a lot, so forgive me. Okay, push that all aside for a second. On Monday, she would like, which is a couple of days from now, she's going to be running, she's organising an event about wearable technology, and one of the aspects of that is she'd like to make it easy for the participants to be able to create their own little 3D head, like, capture it in whichever the way is easiest. Provide the files, and then, a demo of it being printed or whatever. And also, in addition to that, is then, in the post later on, they'll get back a 3D print of their own head or whatever. But she wants to do it in a way that was kind of fun, so they can be hands-on, they can learn about the process, and, you know, etc., etc., which is pretty awesome. But the thing is, though, it's kind of prohibitive. The technology is such a pain in so many different ways. You know, which is understandable, mind. I mean, you know, when you think about what it is it's actually trying to do, like to scan the face and everything else is kind of complicated. And we've experimented with loads of different things, actually. Whatever technology you seem to use, there's always some problem, you know, there's some stupid amount of additional work that's involved in some way or another. You know, it's more difficult than it would first appear. But at the same time, it's not difficult, if that makes any sense. It's really bizarre. You know, it seems to be, maybe it can be put down to good days and bad days. You know, one day you just won't be productive at all, and everything you try, and there'll be so many problems, and it'll just be a nightmare. But then you do something else, which is still very much related, but somehow, yeah, it's piece of cake. It's so easy. It's really baffling sometimes. I don't know why that is. It might be just my, you know, our experience with what we're doing. You know, it might be just our fault, but yeah, there's so many. It's so finicky and annoying. So anyway, I was looking at OpenCV. See, I remembered. We'll go back to that. I was looking at OpenCV because I was thinking about taking a photograph from, say, an Android phone. Because OpenCV is actually supported on Android. There's a little something you can use there, which is pretty awesome. Right, so you've got OpenCV that can be done on the Android phone itself, which is great. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. And what that will allow you to do is you're able to then, as an example, let me see. So say you had a computer set up with a webcam or whatever. Let's say a webcam, and you had a ball and you wanted to track its movement. I know. The kind of thing that people use is like, if you look on look on YouTube for pool and snooker table augmentation, and what these experimenters are able to do is they're able to, using a camera and a projector. Now the projector, is the last stage of the system, but they use the camera and they use some kind of computer vision software, be it OpenCV, which I think it probably would be. I don't know if they write their own stuff. I mean, I just don't see the point really, but and you're able to then calculate things such as you aim the pool cue at the cue ball and you're about to take a shot, but as you're lining your shot up, the software is able to see the position of all balls on the table. It knows where the pockets are for whatever reason. Maybe it can see them, or maybe it's just predefined in the software. And because the cue, the pool or snooker cue is a long stick, and pretty much straight as an arrow, that will give you a nice line that gives the computer, it knows where you're pointing essentially, and it knows where the balls are. So what it can calculate for you is it can calculate the when you move the cue at any angle about the cue ball, what you'll find is there's this imaginary line which is then drawn on the pool table using a projector, and this imaginary line shows you like the what would happen if you hit the cue ball dead center. Following that line, it would bounce off a cushion, come into the pack of balls, whatever, move a whole load of stuff around. But essentially, not only does it give you a visual guide as to sort of where you're aiming towards, but it also they've also added the ability to track interaction between multiple balls, so that you can do pretty fancy looking shots very easily, because it's all calculated for you. So it takes the guesswork out, and and you can literally just line it up, and you can see the ball bounce off a bunch of different things, and eventually it will go in a pocket. As long as you hit it hard enough, and I think that's pretty amazing. So that's the kind of things people use the computer vision tools for. What I wanted to do was, I thought maybe in order to create a 3D printed face of someone, or maybe not even get to that stage just yet, let's just thinking about capturing a 3D face and maybe just showing it on the screen moving around or whatever, so they can move it up, down, left, right, backwards and forwards, they can do all kinds of stuff to it so they can see their face in 3D and get a sense of this is pretty awesome. But then I thought, well, to capture a 3D face is bloody difficult. Like, for example, you've got a website called 123dap.com, 123dapp.com. It's from Autodesk, I believe, or they've purchased the technology either, or they've made it themselves. I'm not sure, but it's by Autodesk, and they have a whole bunch of different things. They've got 123 Catch. I've forgotten them now, but you've got it's all under this 123. It's as easy peasy. Computer aided design, essentially. It's just what they're promoting, and they've got a whole suite of tools for that purpose. Anyway, 123D Catch, I think it's called, is an app you can install on your phone, which is pretty much the same as the website, which can run in just a regular computer browser. Now, what the idea is, you take a bunch of photos, starting with I think you need at least 6 or 7 photographs of an object in various different positions about that object. And what it can do then is it can take those images and then it can reconstruct them in a 3-dimensional scene. So it can extrapolate the 3D data based on these images and moving them around and doing some really awesome calculations, which I don't know how it's done. But this is cool, and for some things it actually comes out pretty damn good. Like, you can be like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And especially when you think about the complexity, you can respect it and be like, you know what, that is pretty awesome. Like, that's just mind-blowing. But then on the other hand, you're like, but if you actually wanted to then 3D print some of the things you've captured and then, import it into this software, and you think, well, this is really crap. There's been a bunch of things we've tried to do and we're just like, this is no good. Really is no good for what we're doing. We're using, really good photographs, decent digital camera. We're going through the rigmarole of, taking dozens of photographs and only moving just little bits at a time, around a 3D object, whatever it might be. It might be a face, might be whatever. Our interest at the moment was, sort of like face, head, shoulders, face, that kind of thing. Anyway, so, yeah, no good at all. So we've tried all that, and it's a nuisance. Now, so when you think about it, but the problem is everyone has a smartphone, practically. So everyone has a camera in their pocket. So it was suggested by Bushra, wouldn't it be great if we had this thing where people could take a picture of themselves or whatever, and then, create the model, do a tutorial and show them how to do it, which is great. But then on the other hand, it's a bit, we know how troublesome that is as well. So it's a bit like, on the one hand, it would be fantastic. That will blow some people's minds, if you're a bit of a geek, you probably know about this stuff, but, she wants to show this to ordinary people like artists and stuff that don't have the same sort of technology background as many of us do. And, they would find that pretty amazing. And I guess really rightfully so, because it kind of is. But as I say, there's a problem with it. It's not that, it's just, you can do a bunch of tests, and some will work out pretty good, and then others will just be rubbish, and you're just frustrated. And when you have deadlines on top of that, it's just not fun at all. So, I was thinking with OpenCV, it's very simple using, the technology, and all of the stuff already exists in OpenCV, pretty much, is to detect a face. Very simple, right? So I'm thinking, take a photograph from the camera, detect the user's face. Okay, that's it. Right, you've got that part. You've literally, when I say detect face, I'm literally meaning you have a 2-dimensional photograph, just a regular photograph, and the computer can see where the eyeballs are, and where the nose is, and maybe the mouth, whatever, just the very basic kind of features. There isn't much more than that. I pushed that aside, and I was thinking, you know, even if you just had like a relatively sort of generic 3D sort of mesh of what a face would roughly look like. Roughly, you know, doesn't have to be perfect. And then if you apply that photograph that you've created, line up the eyes, line up the nose, line up the mouth, and then just stretch it over the three-dimensional mesh, you know, a bit like skin really, just texture map it. I think you'd get a relatively okay kind of appearance, and then it gives them something fun to play with, like, oh, you know, my face is in 3D, that looks pretty cool, you know. It won't be perfect, but it'd be pretty good, I think. Kind of reminds me of something similar, on the Nintendo 3DS, when that came out, one of the default games it had, I mean, it probably still does, I don't know, but one of the default games that was built into the system, which blew my mind, actually, was this augmented reality, sort of space invaders type game thing. And what would happen is, so the 3DS has a three-dimensional, it has an LCD display. You know, you have your normal screen on this games console, but it also has these sort of like separators built into the screen. And what happens is, if you look at the screen with your left eye, you will see pretty much one picture. And if you switch eye without moving the device, and look only through your right eye, you'll see a different picture as well on that eye from the left. Does that make sense? So you get like a stereo image. I think it's called a lenticular display, or something derived, you know, something similar to that. It's pretty cool in its own right. The resolution's a bit poor, but you know, whatever. Okay. So using this 3D screen and the console positioned roughly in the right place and everything, well, they can. Oh, and in addition to that, it's got two very low resolution cameras pointing at the back of the device. So essentially, you get a 3D camera, and with the screen, you've got a 3D view through those 3D cameras. So when you move the device around, you know, you can see the room around you through the screen. So the interesting thing is, which is what makes it augmented reality, is the fact is it's almost like a window. Almost you can see straight through the device, and you can see through it and see what's behind it. And it's very quick and easy to forget the fact that you're holding up something into your face, if that makes any sense. You know, it's a good enough experience that you soon start to forget, because while you're playing this game, which involves these 3D objects appearing about you in a three-dimensional space, so it turns the room into like it's really weird. The device is able to track the movement from left and right, up, down, etc. So it's able to figure out roughly where you are in relation to the scenery behind you, such that as you move the camera around, these little floating objects are positioned correctly, such that they look like they're just floating between you and the wall. You know, they're just, you know, and they're pretty good and pretty reliable. I was pretty blown away, actually. It was quite impressive. For what it was really good. But the reason why this is interesting is, and it was quite cute and quite kind of like, wow, that's really, really cool at the time, was that at the beginning of the game, it asks you to take a photograph of yourself, and it also gives you the opportunity to take photographs of other people around you. And what you can do is you take a photograph of yourself, and then it shows this kind of animation of where it stretches this picture, your face around like a skull or whatever. Well, not a skull, but a head. No, is that correct how to describe it, I suppose? Well, it just kind of wraps around something anyway, and, you know, that becomes like your head. And then it goes, ha, 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 does this laughing thing. And if you were lucky and your mouth lined up correctly, it looks like your mouth is open and shut while it's laughing, and it's wrapped around this thing, and it's, you know, it's pretty approximate, but it's kind of funny. Sometimes it looks like it's laughing from your chin and things like that, but, you know, whatever. But it kind of, so that's where I got the idea from. I thought, well, you know, sometimes good enough is good enough, maybe, you know, that might be it. It's not really their face structure, but it's with the texturing and everything else, and you're just rendering it on the phone. That's pretty cool, right? You know, that's pretty cool, I don't know. And I'm not saying this is new technology or anything like that, but it was just my thoughts. But as I said, and I've gone on about this quite a lot, but as I said, yeah, with my brother passing and everything else, and, you know, and that's the second brother that's gone within, like, the last year. within 7 months, I think, 8 months. I'm losing track now, but you know, so it's been pretty awful. Actually, it's been unfun. And I've noticed I've been to the London Hackspace a bunch of times since, and I don't do anything. You know, I'm not saying I'm all that productive when I'm there anyway, because often I'm just chatting and you know I'm chilling and you know what have you. But generally, or especially during the day, during the night I tend to do stuff when I'm there. I don't know why. That's just when I feel like doing stuff. But during the day I just hang out mostly. You know. But lately, you know, I've just literally no energy. Like today, I've slept a whole load, you know. But I don't beat myself up over it though. You know, it is what it is. And, you know, I can accept that now. A couple of times my temper's flared. I think I'm pretty patient and I'm pretty chilled out. You know, I can get a bit irritable, but like, you know, it's not, I don't know, I think I'm pretty chilled. I've got a pretty good threshold for rubbish and irritation. I can tolerate a fair amount. But, with what's been going on, no, I really can't. I'm really quick to bite back if someone gives me a bit of grief or something. It's funny, and I don't even have time, like, lately it's happened a couple of times, I haven't had time to think before I've sort of snapped and sort of been a bit abrasive in my reply or whatever. You know, I haven't been physical. It's just been kind of like, you know, I've really, you know, do you know what? Shove this where the sun don't shine kind of thing. You know, just I'm not interested. You know, and that's poor form. Actually, I don't like that. I don't like being that way towards people. Really. You know, if I don't like someone, I'll tell them I don't want to speak to them. I think that's fair. You know, and I'd rather them to just sort of kind of stay out of my little tiny bit of personal space. They can carry on with their own business, but just kind of don't try and interact with me too much if you can help it. Then I'll be happy, kind of thing. I think that's kind of fair, you know. But again, that's quite rare, you know. But lately, as I say, I don't know, you know, and if I'm really, really honest, there's been times where, you know, I'm anticipating rubbish from someone, and in my head I'm thinking, okay, you know, you know, I'm almost like, you know, rooting for an argument, you know, inside I just want to, you know, I want an excuse to lash out, if I'm really, really deeply honest. It's not that I want to, but it's the mood I get into. It's really strange. Like, it's not my personality. I don't think I've ever liked fighting. I haven't not exactly had many fights, but when I have, whatever, I don't enjoy it really. You know, I've lost fights and I've won fights, and, you know, and they were years ago. You know, I wouldn't know really how to do it anymore, kind of thing. I can stand up for myself, don't get me wrong. You know, I've had grief in recent years where, you know, you've had to stand up for yourself, but, you know, I'm really not a fighter. Yeah, I guess that's obvious. I'm a bit of a geek. You know, I think I'm a nice person anyway. I don't get me wrong. I've not been, you know, I've not been this level of awesome, you know, my whole life, you know, when you grow up and things, and, you know, I think that's just life, isn't it? You know, you may hang out with the wrong kinds of people, who themselves are hanging out with the wrong kinds of people. You know, it's just, you know, no one knows any better kind of thing. But thankfully, you know, that's a long, long time ago. But the problem is, I think, where I'm getting upset, you know, I've got like the heartache of what's gone on, and also the, it's weird. So you try and harden yourself, I guess, in a sense. Or not, you know, you just don't want to keep breaking down all the time. You're trying to just get on with your life. You know, you've got a job to do and things like that. And you can't, you know, I don't know. I don't really like moaning about the problems I have normally. You know, either because I don't like bringing other people down with me, or I just don't like to feel the pain myself at that time. You know, even just talking about it now is a little bit rough inside. I'm thinking, oh, you know, why don't I shut up about it? But for some reason, it just keeps kind of coming out. But, So I think my mood is indicative of what's really going on. You know, I don't know if it's just me. I think that there are many, you know, sort of, there's untold minds out there that have depression anyway, and, you know, and kind of maybe have a bit of a gloomy outlook at the best of times, you know. You know, I've had depression for a long time. I keep trying to get out of it, and just when I start to, everything looks like it's going well, and I start becoming happy, either I've done something to set myself back, or something around me has done it, you know, and it's been really hard to kind of get over that and move forward, you know, if you know what I mean. Because if you're already kind of a bit vulnerable, these knocks can knock you quite hard, I think. So that's another reason why I'm trying to be tough about it and just, you know, keep moving forward. Yeah. So I'm going to try and leave it there about that part of the topic. I will say that we haven't had his funeral yet. We've had to wait for various reasons, and so his funeral's coming up very, very soon. I don't know when it is. I've told my family that I don't really. It's not out of spite, I can assure you, but I don't want to go because I went to my first brother's funeral and I thought I was fine. You know, I was pissed off inside about what's going on, you know, and yeah, seeing the process of him, you know, we're going through going through his funeral was not very nice. Luckily my cousin Karen stood by me and held my hand and, you know, and just rubbed my arm and just let me know that I'm not alone, you know, like, she stood by me while I was upset, and that was really, really sweet, and I won't ever forget that. I needed that. But at the same time, I was so heartbroken and so upset. It caught me by surprise. It really did. Because you think you're okay. It's really strange. I don't know, I just, you know, fine, you know, what's done is done kind of thing. There's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, I broke my heart. My heart just poured out. So now this time, I think because both my brothers have died and everything's going on, it's just really got me down, and, you know, and it's just kind of like, oh, this time I'm having more memories of kind of like some cool things that went on, and, you know, between me and my, you know, this second brother that passed away, more of that kind of stuff is popping up, which is kind of like, oh, that's nice, and then boom, suddenly I feel more rough. It's really annoying. Even as far as I had a dream earlier that was just completely unrelated to the situation, but yet in some way it had, you know, it was impressive actually how many parallels of, you know, what was going on in the dream to what was going on in reality, yet it was completely different. It was strange. Still you know, it was still my brother, but yeah, it was weird. Anyway, I'm so sorry for everyone that's listening and I'm waffling going on about this shit. If it makes it up to you, I hope that, you know, I will produce good content. In the future, I'll do my very best, the best that I can. Yeah, it's a difficult time, if I'm honest. That actually might be why I am recording this right now. This may actually be therapy rather than, but I'll still upload it. I think it's the right thing to do. Get it out there, you know. I don't think there's any shame in being upset or depressed or having problems or, you know, everything else. And I know that, you know, the internet can either be favourable or not, depending on its mood. And, you know, there's going to be, one day or another, someone's going to be like, ha ha ha, your brother died, you fucking idiot, kind of thing, you know. That's the kind of things you expect, isn't it, on the internet these days? There's too many gangsters, too many internet gangsters who just like to spoil everything, but I do also know there's good people out there too. Yeah. Okay, let's not dwell too much. Let me see what else I can discuss. I think VK3YE, which is the call sign of the Australian amateur radio enthusiast who creates tons of YouTube videos, and they're all awesome, and he's just a fascinating guy, really, and he knows his stuff. He's very, very clever. And he creates, different circuit designs and things, and iterates through his own and other people's, I think, and improves them in various different ways. And he tries so much creative, cool stuff. He's just, oh my gosh, it's awesome. Anyway, wow, I'm starstruck slightly because he hit like on one of my videos, which I thought was pretty awesome, considering that I'm a nobody and I've produced little to no content, and yeah, but it felt nice. It's a very interesting feeling. It was just like, oh, that's nice. Thank you very much. It's like, I've watched this guy's videos, can't help but be seriously impressed and jealous at times. Because, like I saw a video recently, I think it was today, it was released, I think it was released about 12 to 15 hours ago. Can't quite remember when I last saw it and when it was released. But anyway, so it has VK3YE standing on a beach. As if you've ever looked up his videos, you will know that's just pretty much him. He's barefoot, feet, deeply sunk into the sand. He's standing there with a sort of a circular looking antenna. He's waving it around a little tiny bit just to sort of improve his contact with whoever he's talking to. And he's making contact with, fellow sort of, I think it's Australians. I don't know what VK5, I don't know what the location is, but, he's, making contacts. But I think he said, it's still 1,000 kilometers away or something, and he's chatting away. And then he speaks to someone in America, and, it's just, wow, 5 watts, minimal power, standing there on the beach with his homemade antenna, and he's talking to someone in America. How bloody amazing is that? And what I find even more interesting is the fact that the American is saying that I think he said he's using 1,000 watts or something. He's using a lot of power. So on one direction, the guy's pumping, insane amount of sort of, transmitting at such a high power. But yet, there's this guy, practically, not exactly in the middle of nowhere, but just randomly, he's just at the beach, and, he's just, oh my God, his little 5 watts or whatever, and he's, he's making a contact so far away. That's just mind-blowing to me. That's just the best. I think I've mentioned this already. I probably have. But when I was 14 years old, I had a CB radio at home. I've never had an amateur radio license, but I did have a CB radio license for a short period while it was necessary. And I remember during sort of a summertime, there was what they call skip, or I think propagation, and there's probably a million other things that they call it, but essentially, your signal will be picked up and carried away up in the ionosphere and end up somewhere random. And I was able to talk from England to Holland. This was so many years ago. I think it was before I'd even had a chance to touch the internet, or just vaguely I had maybe experienced the internet briefly, maybe, because the local doctor's surgery, the doctor knew that I was very very geeky and stuff, and he allowed me to see the the internet one time from his surgery one evening, and it was just cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, partly I was sitting there a tiny little bit bored, even though it was awesome, which is strange, but because I don't think it had enough to captivate a child's imagination, and it just didn't capture my imagination as much as what things like radio did. I think because radio has an immediate kind of gratification. You just press a button and, bloody hell, you just turn it on and you can hear people. Whereas the internet was, I remember it being very kind of grey and dull, and, and, he was a doctor, so he was probably just looking, if it was like if it was a neighbour or or a brother or a family member, they'd probably show you porn for a laugh, But a doctor, of course, you can't do that, and so he just showed me random crap, and it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting, sort of. Just looks like a computer. I mean, I just didn't really. I don't know. I don't remember feeling that amazed by it. But I did remember him showing me his file storage system, which was for all the medical records and stuff and what have you. I think it was 21 gigabytes, and that was bloody huge. I mean, that's just massive. I mean, it wasn't for years until I had something, even sort of an order of magnitude less than that. It was quite a long time before I even had like a 2.1 gigahertz, let alone 2.1 gigabytes rather than 21 gigabytes. It was kind of interesting. But, so that was something I think that was more tangible. I could just be like, whoa, that's incomparable. I just can't understand that at all. Incomparable? No, incomprehensible. It was just too vast, That was kind of cool. But anyway, yeah, radio was fascinating for me, and it seems to be the main theme of this podcast, actually, which is kind of funny, because that wasn't my intention. I think later on, it'd be more generic, but at the moment, this is where my passion is. I still don't have an amateur radio license. I feel so annoyed at myself for this. I feel I'm regretting it more and more. I should have just got that done. I nearly had it. I mean, it was a technicality practically. I just needed to fill the form out, for the exam. I had all the training, I just had to turn up on the day really, and I'm so gutted that I didn't do it. And to really, really, really twist the knife, and it's the London Hackspace. They just announced that they are running intermediate and full courses, examinations on one day. I feel a little bit sick, actually, thinking about it. I'm so upset because I could, in no time at all, I could have been full amateur radio license holder, and I want it so badly. Oh my god! And because it would have been done through the Hackspace, it would have been at a sensible price, and and if you know what I mean, and could collaborate with people, and just be a really easy thing for me to fall into and do. But I need that first license, so I feel really gutted. Actually, I feel really gutted, and I feel a little bit annoyed that they haven't set it up very well, because it's kind of like, well, oh, that's all well and good doing the intermediate and full, but they should have really probably, done a foundation in front of that as well. But that's just my opinion. Rubbish. Yeah, I'm gutted. Yeah, I'm gutted. So yeah, I want my full license. That's going to be a pet project soon. Totally wasn't going to mention this. In fact, it's only just popped back into my head. But I'm wondering, 32 years old, I think I am. Yeah, 32. Is it too late to study for a degree? I don't know. Very, 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 very confused about this. On the one hand, I mean, at the moment, I'm only seeming to be able to get really crap jobs. Really, really rubbishy jobs. When I say rubbishy jobs, actually I quite like them, but, on the other hand, I need more income. There's just not enough to live on. Everything I've been doing lately, I'm struggling, continuously struggling. I never have enough money. I've got debts that just have never seemed to get paid off, because I don't want to pay them because then I have no money. It's just this horrible vicious circle I've been in for some years now. And, and it's through my own doing. There's no doubt about that. I've had good jobs in the past, jobs that we should never have left. In one particular one, which, was paying me really well, wasn't even that hard. Yeah, I'm gutted a little bit. I'm upset because, I'm 30 years old or whatever, 32 years old. And in the past I found it really easy to kind of, be lucky, I guess, and kind of get into roles maybe that, got into roles that, HR demanded a degree for or whatever, but somehow I managed to, slide my way in. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's because, a lot of people now, have moved into maybe computers and that kind of thing. Because it would be a computing related field, I'm guessing, that I'd probably go into. It's the easiest for me to do. And it's something I'm good at. I mean, always have been kind of thing. Yeah, but you see, I don't know. You see, like, you go to apply for something and you see they've already received 100 odd CVs for it. And you think, bloody hell, it's like, I've got no chance. Especially now that I've got years of, alternative career, a completely different career path under my belt. It's frustrating, breaking out of one into the other. It can be really tough, which is what I found anyway. Yeah, I am confused, really. I don't enjoy Open University. I've tried it once before. It just pisses me off, to be honest. Now I think this is kind of an interesting thing to maybe mention, and maybe it's just my skewed, very kind of, my view on this anyway, because I haven't got much experience in education, so I could be completely wrong. But I know one thing: when I tried to do this Open University course, it wasn't about teaching you something. It felt very much like you had to know already, if you know what I mean. Oh mate, it was just infuriating at times. It was very, very difficult to kind of, because maybe it was my perspective from the beginning, because I was thinking, if I do a degree, it's for learning. So I picked stuff that I, weren't necessarily good at, thinking, I could have picked stuff that I was already good at, and I could have, ran through it really rapidly, and it would have been easy for me. But I made the mistake of picking stuff that was tough. I went out of my way. I picked some modules which just, my weaknesses. I picked mathematics, which I am rubbish at. And picked programming languages that I hadn't used before, and it turned out I didn't even get a chance to do any of the coding, any of the programming with, whatever, because, I was sinking too much in the maths. I was struggling so horribly, and that is completely my own fault. I didn't take on board anyone else's advice as to, I should have picked something easier and an easier level of, mathematics, whatever. And I didn't. Very stupid of me, if I'm honest, because it was my opportunity to really kind of begin, correcting many mistakes, throughout my life, if you know what I mean, in my career or whatever. But no, I bollocks that up as well. I completely ruined it. And that was kind of, stupid, naive and stubborn of me. Because I went into it thinking, I don't care how hard this is. I just don't care. I am giving this every ounce of my energy. I literally do not care if I don't sleep. I don't care if, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. I am doing this. I am determined. I am going to let nothing get in my way. The programming stuff, I figured to myself, you know what? I can already code. I may not be the best coder out there, but I can, I can get by. I can do what I need to do. So I wasn't that concerned about that. I thought, but with the maths, nothing's going to beat me. It's been too long since, I need to do this. I hope you can tell how determined I was feeling at the time. I was really determined. And going through it, I was determined. But in the end, I had to give up because I couldn't do it. And I tried so desperately hard. I read the support material that came with the course, and it didn't really feel like it was, I don't know, it just wasn't the right way for me to learn, I guess. I think we all learn in our own way, and some of us can learn from books and some of us can't. I think I'm one of those people that kind of can't. But I tried, and I gave it I worked so hard. I managed to get some really amazing help from someone who was amazing at maths anyway, and a guy on, he used to go under the name Quadrescence, or something. Pronunciation isn't my thing, but, and he was such a great help. But even he, I think, tired of helping me because, I had so much to catch up before I could even do the coursework, and, yeah. But I tried hard, trust me. I don't think I've ever worked that hard on anything, ever. And it defeated me, and it sucked. It was really horrible. I was so, wow. Not good. Not good at all. Yeah, I think this episode's been very waffly, actually. I don't know if it's interesting or not. It's the kind of thing I would listen to. If this was someone else's podcast, I would actually listen to this and find it interesting. So hopefully maybe you do too. What else can I mention, really? Actually, I've noticed I keep moving the mic away from my mouth a lot as well, so hopefully it's not too horrible. Let me see, what else is there? This is it, see, I haven't done anything really. This might make you laugh, actually. It's making me laugh. So, I think I may have mentioned some aspects of this at some point, but yeah. Anyway, very recently, probably only like a week or so ago, I got out the hot glue gun. Had a bunch of USB web cameras. Why do I even call them web cameras? I had a bunch of USB cameras. Duh. But essentially, I guess webcam really sort of narrows that down to being, the type that don't have onboard storage or anything. It's just a, sensor, and the signal gets sent down USB. Anyway, so there's a bunch of webcams, and this is where it's kind of funny because I spent ages making okay. I don't really have any mechanical related tools, anything to kind of build stuff. All I've really got to hand when I'm at home is, my hot glue gun, some cardboard, which is pretty awesome in of itself. I've fallen in love with cardboard, but that's another story. Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking. I don't go to bed with cardboard. I don't snuggle up to it, but I do. I do like working with it. It's quite fun. It's surprisingly enjoyable, actually. Anyway, so I want something that's very simple. I can just kind of plonk on a desk, press record, and forget about it. And and it'll record. Maybe sort of like an almost sort of 360 degrees view of whatever's around it. And a fairly good microphone or microphones. I'm not sure. Anyway, so it's very simple, nothing that complicated, small little laptop or, embedded board of some description. Like a BeagleBone or something, or bloody Raspberry Pi or whatever. I'd probably handle it fine. So yeah, a bunch of cameras, some kind of board, that can handle that, and, some kind of storage. Doesn't need internet, doesn't need, much fanciness at all, in fact. All it'll probably need is, one way I was thinking was possibly, having a virtual Linux desktop, then using a tiling window manager, which means that it doesn't have all the sort of maximize, minimize, and close icons and tool and sort of header and footer and whatever of the application window. It's just the main components of the application itself, and it's automatically sized, on the fly to fit certain areas of the screen, and each thing can sit next to each other and things like that. Anyway, look it up. Tiling window manager. It can be pretty awesome. It can save you a lot of hassle because I don't know if you want again. It saves you hassle having to mess around with the mouse and moving things, and if you want this next to this, next to this, and it can just be, it's not fun lining things up. I think we've all done it. But whereas with a tiling manager, it's automatic. So, you can, using the keyboard, you can initiate a new window, which will give you like a terminal window or whatever, or open up another task in a little segment of the screen, and it's quite nice, quite handy, very, very good. So I was thinking, if you had, say 4 cameras for now, then you can break your screen into quadrants, and there you go, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and each one will have each camera view on there, and then it wouldn't be that hard to really, capture the screen data, stream that into something, just using, regular screen capture software or something like that. I don't know. That was one way I was thinking. I thought, you know what, that would be kind of easy. It wouldn't be that difficult, to set up. That was the easiest way I thought of, really. I thought, that'll do. At the very worst kind of outcome is that, and I'll probably get, I don't know, depending how fast the processor is, you might still get your 20 odd frames per second or whatever. I don't know. I thought this was really cool, really smart idea, and very cheap to do. So I bought a bunch of cameras off of, good old eBay. I paid like, I'm so sorry. I paid like, I think it was about £2 each, £2.50 maximum, but about £2 each for these cameras. And I thought, you know what, even if they're a bit rubbish, I can kind of live with, losing out on about £10 or whatever it might have been. So I get 4 or 5 cameras. I think I ordered 5 or 6 in the end or something, a couple of different ones, and then 4 of the same or 5 of the same. And they finally arrived. Well, I was at the Hackspace, hanging out, and I was in one of these kind of moods where I didn't really feel like doing much, but I was just chit-chatting, and I just finished work, whatever, and I opened up the package at the Hackspace, and there you are. I've got my webcams. So the coolest thing about the Hackspace is, if you've got something useful or handy or fun to play with, whatever, either you'll play with it yourself, or if you're like me and you like to delegate, I just went, I've got some cool little webcams, whatever, managed them, and one of the, a couple of people grabbed them. Within a couple of minutes, I knew that it works on both Windows and Linux. The frame rate was reliable, and if you turn off the white balance, the automatic white gain, white balance, whatever, you got really good kind of low latency, and pretty good throughput. It just, it was pretty remarkable, actually, for what they were, for the price. If you paid more than that, you'd expect it, but for such cheap things, it was a surprise. And I liked that. I'd literally just mentioned it, 2 minutes later, 2 people have gone off on their own to test them and play around with them because they were curious, and they've got that kind of energy to just, and enthusiasm to have a go. So that was cool. And so I thought, you know what, this is great. So with armed with this knowledge, while I was at home, cracked out the hot glue gun, as I mentioned, and I glued 4 cameras together, all pointing in opposite directions, north, east, south, west. And on top of that, I also glued in a stepper motor. Now, I could do this, but I don't want to. I could have made it so that the stepper motor was able to move all of those cameras at once. That's fine, that's easy to do, but I didn't want to do that. What I wanted to do was have those cameras stationary, but then have an optional sort of kind of camera or something that sits on top of those cameras which can move freely as well, which can then either be, remotely controlled by someone, say, watching through Skype or something, or, because the reason for that is because we do hypnosis meetings and stuff. One of the guys, one of the founding members actually of our hypnosis group on Wednesday at the Hackspace, he's moved to work with Google, so he's out there, and out there in good old America, and anyway, it would be cool to have like a telepresence type of robot for him, but, who's got time to make that? That's the problem. So it would have been nice to give him like a camera that he could control so he's still present, and then have audio bidirectional audio, so that then he can still hypnotise people through his voice and stuff. And, you know, that'd be kind of fun, that'd be cool. But the main purpose of the whole thing was to have some cameras to record what's going on during our meetings. But simultaneously, I wanted to use this for my YouTube channel if possible. You know, in a version or another, perhaps a bunch of cameras in different positions ready so that I can switch between them on the fly whilst recording, so that I don't have to go back and edit, because going back and edit just sucks. I don't want to do that. I'd like to be able to produce it on the fly, switch between cameras on the fly, you know, and that's it, nice and easy. So I started to move in that direction. I've made the cameras, you know, glued them all together, and, you know, I made this kind of thing. It looked good enough, you know, it was a hack, clearly a hack, but, you know, it all made sense. And I had my stepper motor on there just in case, and then I made a little cardboard little stand for it, like a little tower, you know, out of my cardboard and hot glue, and, you know, and everything else. And it was all working, you know, all looking good. It was all ready to go, kind of thing. And I thought, you know what, alright, so, okay, I'm going to plug this into my Windows 8, it's 8.1 now, whatever, which is rubbish, I might add. My Windows 8 laptop, my brand new Alienware laptop, I plugged in one of these cameras, and seriously disappointed. The cameras are shite. They're so rubbish, you know, and I thought, you know, and it was one of those kind of, stupid kind of facepalm moments, because you're thinking, on the one hand, you know these cameras are rubbish, you've paid £2 for them, you know for a fact that the 8 megapixel claim on the product is a complete and utter lie. You know that. You bought it from Hong Kong. You know it's a load of rubbish. Why did you even think it was okay? Why didn't I test it myself? You know, but because people had tried them out and said, you know what, these are pretty good for what they are, you know, I just kind of took it for granted that they were fine. But now, if you were to use them perhaps as some kind of cheap sort of daytime security cameras or something, you know, over a large distance, you know, over a large area, they'd probably be fine. But I needed something kind of close up. And what I found was, it was, you know, at arm's distance, it barely would, you know, take in a whole face. You know, it was just kind of like that. It just felt like it was super zoomed in. Just I really didn't like it at all, actually. Now, it could be a software problem. You know, it could be my fault on the Windows. I haven't given it much more thought since then, but I tried that and I was seriously disappointed. I was just like, this is no good at all. You know, what's the point? And then definitely only show up at 640 by 480. So, I'm not impressed whatsoever with these things. So, I may revisit that, but I don't think I'm going to bother. I think they're just rubbish. Rubbish. So that was an epic fail, actually. You know, so from having this, what I thought was a relatively good idea, you know, having a little camera system, you can just press record and boom, you're done. You know, no effort, no hassle. And like I said, I wanted to use this for my YouTube channel, but also, you know, it's come up before, like a virtual hack space. You know, so, you know, because there's so much cool stuff that does happen at the London Hack Space, so you just kind of don't know that it happens. Because, you know, most stuff, nearly nothing is documented, you know, and things happen and it just disappears into the ether, really. Just vague memories. I thought it'd be good if we could document that kind of stuff, and we all think the same, but no one has actually bothered. No one could be, you know, it's just being asked to do it, really, you know. And so I thought, right, this will also tie in well with that. And, yeah, I failed. I failed miserably. Yeah. You know, what can you do, eh? Let me just check the time on this camera quickly. Camera? Recorder, one sec. Oh, 1 hour and 4 minutes. That's not too bad. Okay, for this episode, I'm just going to leave it there, because I can't think of anything else useful to say. So, thanks for listening, take care, and we'll speak to you all soon. When I can find the stop button, sorry. Oh, and also sorry for the pops you probably heard in the audio then when I flicked the switch. I can imagine that played havoc. Anyway, thanks again, bye-bye.